Yo, what is going on, everybody? We are back with Let's Get Sticky. Tonight, we are coming in with our guy, Silentninja5. Had to put the 5 on it. You know what I mean? 5 on it. How many of you are old enough to know what that song is? I got 5 on it. That's why I got a 5 on it. You get it? Yeah, I'm pumped for this one. I get to learn a little bit about you because you got your own show going on too. That's doing very well. So getting into all of this is Silentninja5, guys. Picked him up. He was a little straggler out there. He was like, I gotta get on there. I was like, got it, bro. Let's go. I'm always down to work with everybody. That's how we get it done. And that's how you succeed in this business. You're not doing it by yourself. You do it by yourself, you're lucky as shit. I'll let you know that, because I don't know who is doing it by themselves. I mean, maybe some of the bigger guys, but they had friends at one point. But getting into it, man.
Just chat it up and hang out, man.
Sure, for sure, man, for sure. So now getting into it, how did you get into streaming and getting into your own show with the podcast?
Hold on. It says I'm
You're
muted.
good. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Okay. All right. I got into streaming once the whole COVID stuff got going. I started on YouTube, and then I basically, after doing a bunch of YouTube videos, I decided I wanted to try to do the streaming thing. I met a couple of friends on Twitter. And then from there, it just like the streaming thing really blew up because so many people all started streaming at the same time.
Tell
And
me
so I just,
about it.
yeah, right. I mean, you've seen it, and you've seen it even more so as Madden 21 has gotten popping. So that's how I really got into the streaming game, was COVID, going YouTube, then popped into streaming. And then, yeah, I started doing a podcast with Taco 2 Kids. We had been doing it about every week, once a week. And then with so many people streaming, once Madden 21 hit, we kind of took a mini break with it to let things settle. And for us to also find a good time slot. I saw you make a post yesterday about the time slot gig as well. It's just like with so many people streaming, we wanted to make sure that we find a good slot that would be, good to run a podcast where there's not, 15, 20, 30 people at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now with it, I don't think you find a good time slot, honestly.
Yeah.
Like the way it is, I mean, because you got you got J Dub in the morning, you got a couple other guys in the morning, and as the day goes on, you start getting all the players, you start getting all the Madden guys, all the comp guys, and they go throughout the night. W starts popping on, you got Problem popping on, and you kind of get swallowed, and it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like everybody bashes the game right now. There's a lot of bashing going on in the game because of the bugs, or it's not doing this, it's not doing that, it's this, it's that. Everybody's bitching about it, but when you get down to it, the gameplay isn't that bad. You have a lot of bugs inside the game that cause it to seem bad, but I'm hoping with this patch that comes out, they don't touch the gameplay. They let it alone. We get what's messed up cleared out, get the bugs out the way, where we have our lines on the field, our clock runoff is in 19 seconds. I don't know if you got hit with that one yet, but the 19-second runoff. Oh, yeah. But they got that going on. You got like the field disappearing, the screen turning completely white, and all you can do is see your guy's name going across the screen. Honestly, I think people had their expectations set way too high. We're getting ready to go into a generational switch to a new system, so I really didn't feel that they were going to put a ton of effort into it. I mean, they put the effort they could into it. Right now with being COVID, they're all working from home. I didn't expect the game to be perfect. I really didn't. I actually love the gameplay. I love the feel of it. I love that it's hard to stop stuff on defense. I love that you have to try to figure it out and get in the groove and work your team. Like, that is fun to me. Like, I don't want to go in and be like, oh, I know I could do this. I'm going to do this guy, and I'm going to win. You know what I mean? Like that to me is boring.
No, I 100% agree. I think the biggest complaint so far has either been A, from it just being buggy, or B, someone struggling to do something, or maybe it wasn't how they wanted, or maybe their team is struggling. So everyone's going to find something they don't like when the game's not going well for them. I know today I was really getting my clock cleaned a little bit, just playing head to head, and I'm trying to find like some like why is this happening? Why is this happening? Like why can't I freaking play defense? And when it comes down to it, I'm like looking at my team, I'm like, overall wise, I'm just not as good right now overall in my scheme. I just need to get better in my scheme. The gameplay is good, and I think you're right. I don't think there should be anything change gameplay yet. And I don't think there's been a whole lot of big time metas established either. You obviously have, man as a very dominant defense right now in some areas, but the metas are really going to be established once they hit those first tournaments and the big time players come out with their big time schemes. And so I think not touching the gameplay, at least for these first couple months until that happens, is a good point. And the big thing is the bugs, though. Like the field, I played squads, and a really annoying thing right now in
Oh my
squads is
god, the
the
quarterback.
freaking quarterback switch. It's like you can't
Yeah.
even run half your
Well,
playbook.
we learned how to do it.
Uh,
I run with two other guys. I don't know if you watched JG 603. I'm pretty sure.
oh yeah, JG.
And then
Yep.
one of our mods, one of my he's been my mod for years now. LBJ, he's from the UK, and we got together. Us three got together last year, and we did fairly well together. I mean, we did real well. And then he was like, "Yo, let's jump in the squad and see what we can do." We got in there, we found this thing out, and we're like, "Okay, so we started planning for it, you know what I mean? Like we started, hey, look, I was the quarterback, I'm gonna get locked out. I'm not gonna be able to run around or nothing. We're gonna lose a receiver, uh, and we figured it out. We ended up going like what division round of the playoffs our first season after we figured it out, and then we also then figured out if you go in the single back and if you come down to single back, and I believe if you're under center that you won't glitch out,
Correct.
something
Yeah,
like
if you're
that.
under center, or if you run play action out of the shotgun, those are the ways you can pass and won't glitch out.
Yeah, it was just crazy. I'm just like, man, like it doesn't make me mad because I try to look at both sides. You know what I mean? Like as much as I love the game, I'm playing it regardless. It's my favorite game. But when you're looking at it, you're just like, man, it's like, could they have done more? Who knows? None of us know. You know what I mean? I mean, they're not in their space where they're able to, hey, knock on the door. Hey, look, this is what's going on in the game. What can we do? You don't have the dev right next to you that does certain parts of the game. I mean, you got something in every mode that is messed up. You know what I mean? I think when it came out with Face of the Franchise had stuff in it that's messed up, and they've worked on it. The thing is they're being transparent with us and they're working on it, and that is something I love. Is like, hey, you're being transparent on it. You're telling us you're working on it. We know what's coming. We know what kind of to expect. Like I was kind of excited because they dropped the gridiron notes today. I don't know if you got to catch them on the franchise side of it, and that was huge. Like they're adding different stuff into the franchise now. More like the timeline is going to probably be more next gen, but they're stepping forward to it and they're giving us that. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to make everybody happy. It's how it works.
Absolutely. And I think a couple good points you made is, they're not in their space. And so obviously it's a totally different way that they're going about working this game. And they also have to worry about the next gen. I mean, so they're getting this gameplay ready and everything ready. And now they have to worry about creating the game for the next gen and how that's going to transition from the PS4 to a PS5, because they said it's going to transition, and then how it's going to play there. So it seems like there's a lot of moving parts, and with all these moving parts going on, they're still not in their space where they can just work freely and get things done. So I kind of gave him a mulligan at the end of last Madden with the promos because I figured, and I think most of us figured that they were going to put all this into Madden 21. And I think once again, you're seeing the frustration coming out from players of why wasn't this fixed? Why wasn't this fixed? And I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
you know
I
what it
understand that
is.
myself. I mean, I understand that myself too. I mean, as this being my main game that I content create, I mean, I do go out and do other games, but majority of my time is spent in here. And with that ending like that last year for Madden 20, that was rough. It was rough for having no content for two months when you're in that space and not knowing how to fix it. I mean, we're not like I'm not big enough. I mean, people know me, but I'm not big enough to be like, hey, I can go in and go play this game. All 200 of you come with me. I'm gonna go play this and hope for the best. No, it's more like I would go and I'm like, hey guys, where are you? Nah. You know what I mean? Like it's tough. So I what I did is I started a franchise. So I had content. And my guys bugged, man. They bugged me. Yo, appreciate the sub. Appreciate that gifted, man. They bugged me. Like my subs are like, let's start a franchise. Come on, start a franchise. I, you know what? I went out and I found a roster. Like I went out and got like the roster that had all the rookies and all the moves made for which would be 21 roster. So I did that. We went and got that in. We got all that going. We had a blast. Like we had a good group. I think we ended up with, I think we had 24 or 25 teams filled towards like almost the whole time. And then I know like we kind of faded a little bit because everybody got sick of 20. So this season, as soon as we get game day rosters, we're gonna open up the Get Sticky League again, which everybody is welcome to if you guys want to get in. We have space on Xbox and PS4. We're running 2 leagues. So this is something I used to run a league. Got it going, took off, had a lot of stuff going on with my IRL, so I gave it away. And I've been wanting to integrate, have a place where we have a PS4 and an Xbox league in the same spot. And so that's what we're doing this year. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting guys into it and getting guys rolling as soon as we get there. I'm a big official roster guy. I don't like to go into it and then you're like, oh well, this guy's not on my team. Can he trade him over to me? I'm like, no. And then like you get people yapping and yelling and just like, so what were you going to do? People are like, oh, we want to start. I'm like, and then we start with the rosters and those guys aren't on the team, then you're gonna be mad, right? Oh no. Yeah, as soon as you we already know. So like I said, guys, you guys are all always here for it. You're here for the giveaway. What giveaway are you here for? There is no.
I think that's one of my guys. I think he's just trolling.
I mean, if we get to what was it, 325 subs in the channel, there is a giveaway. And it's a sub only giveaway. Pretty nice one too. It's either a we're gonna do either an NFL jersey of your choice, or
that's a good one.
Or the big one is you get one of my minor league jerseys from when I played, and I autograph it. It's a 1 of 1, so you'd be the only one to have it in the world.
Only one in the world, dude.
Only one tight. In the world, and I'll never do that giveaway again.
Damn,
oh man, Madden,
that's a
like
pretty
that.
legit one. That's a pretty legit one. So you were talking about the franchise, and I experienced the same exact thing. A lot of the guys who I started hanging out with when I started streaming were PS4 guys, and they were all doing franchise mode. And I noticed how tight they were doing the franchise, and how like they had these big time games and all that. And I'm sitting here playing head to head for the billionth time, and just like freaking like poking my eyes out half the time. So I kind of finally, I got one of my buddies, Oh No, It's a Sniper, and him and I got going in the Discord, and we were able to put together an Xbox CFM, and it was a lot of fun. And then that kind of expanded into another CFM, and so we had a couple of them rolling. But it gave, like you said, the CFM part in a time where it was dead. It gave a little bit of content. It gave some life. It gave like big time matchups. Like you would
Yeah,
have a
for sure.
CFM game, and it's like usually a CFM game isn't a huge deal, but then all of a sudden you'd have 10 CFM guys in your stream or more just hanging out because they wanted to see this guy versus that guy. And
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
it,
yeah.
it gave a little bit of life to things, and it made it fun, and it made Discord pop, and people actually, get really excited about what was happening. So that was one thing we did. And then I know Fredo and myself, we ran, I think, 5 different tournaments, just small streamers tournaments on Xbox and PS4. And that was another thing we did, was just running some of those competitive tournaments for guys who aren't generally in, comp tournaments because they're more just the small streamer type guys. And so that was also some kind of fun we did, just to mix it up and kind of create our own content. As streamers, you got to kind of do that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, no, I thought that was the fun part of it, is like, because like you hang out, you got your crew you hang out with all the time, and then it's like they're like, and then people make it big too. Like when me and JG face each other, they're like, "Oh, we gotta see this," because we run together as a crew. You know what I mean? Like we play squads together all year long, and it's like these two are gonna be mad at each other. They're gonna hate each other. Whoever wins, da, da, da. And the first game we played, JG cheesed it up. And I was pissed. I was pissed. I'm like, bro. I'm like, really, man? I'm like, you're really good at cheese like this? I was like, it's it was like he was running. What was he running? He was like running no huddle, 5 wide. I'm like, bro, really?
Oh no.
I'm like, dude, this isn't much. This is CFM. Bring it back, bro. And then he stopped. He stopped doing it, and then you seen the tables start turning. Like he started playing legit, and you see the tables start going. Because I'm a football guy, so like I run legit football. Like even when you get in my league, we have rules and everything. Like you got to be like 70-30 runner pass like that. So you have to do everything, and then we also have like where you can't just play zone. Like you have to run like a 70-30 balance on both sides. So it makes it fun because people actually have to get in their playbooks and have to run plays, because you're not allowed to run the same play back to back, like any of that. Like you can only hurry up twice, and then you have to come out of it. Like it makes it fun when you get people having to think, and then people are like, well, because a lot of these guys are mutt guys, right? So they're so used to playing weekend league, running the meta, running the cheese, and when they come to franchise and you put some rules in front of them, you really get to find out how good of a player they are. Like if you take that meta and you just crunch it, you're like, look, this is what the rules are. You got to stream this. If we catch you, you get players suspended. Like and then because we had to do that to a guy. Like he sat there and ran the same play back to back and scored on me. And I'm like, bro, I looked right at him. I was like, you really just run it? Like I'm the guy. Like I run the league, dude. Like you think I'm not gonna pick this up? And we already have it. It's in there. Nah, we don't do no rules. That's what Mutt's for. That's what Mutt's
Big
for.
Papa. Big Papa's out here. You get confused. Oh man, that's funny. That is funny. Speaking of your guy JG, man, he in our 32 team PS4 tournament, he and Jay Shea probably had maybe the greatest game of Madden I've ever seen. It was like 51-45, just a shootout, score for score for score, and then JG in overtime hit like a 70-yard bomb to win the game. It was just amazing, freaking just. And that's the thing about Madden is, as you know, a lot of run meta last year, right? And these two guys, JG and Jay Shea, come out and just freaking dot the ball all over the field.
Yeah,
just
JG's the passer.
I mean, so fun, just so fun. It was a crazy game.
What's crazy is about that is JG has like one of the best pass defenses like I've seen. He has a really good pass defense, and like watching him throw the ball, I'm like, bro, this sucks. Like knowing you have to face him like this, like man, like it's just bad. I had like, what was it yesterday? I had a really good head to head. I got into it. This dude, I ended up coming back on this dude. Dude gets this lucky last bomb catch. I stop him. He's on the 1. He gets in, and then he goes for 2. and I mean, I had a feeling like I had a feeling he was going into one hole, and I just came in. I just put my helmet on him, and it knocked him straight to the ground, and he lost the game at one point with no time left. I was like, what a game that was. Like I love playing games like that. Like those are the games I'll sit there and play. I could play like that all day long if the games were like that instead of playing like the cheese and all the craziness that these guys do. Like you get these guys that just run, run, run. I'm like, bro, it's not even like realistic. Like you can't do that in the NFL. There's not a team that runs. Like there's teams that run heavy, but there's not one where every play is a run. And I mean, that's one thing. Like this year, I thought the run was going to dial down a little bit, but I mean, I think the run it. I think it's kind of balanced right now. As you go into the game, you have run and pass. Like you can do both of them, and I think that's why people are so like frustrated is because it's not easy. It's not easy to stop it like it was last year. Like most people were like, "Oh, well, this guy's going to run. This is the meta. Nobody's really passing," and so it was like you all you gotta do is focus on the run. Now you have to focus on both because you can do both.
Oh yeah, I agree. It is incredibly hard. I feel like the read option and some of those inside zones, contrary last year where stretch, 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 right? And it's like the read option inside zones are tough. They can be really, really hard to stop. And because of the route running, if someone's in zone and you're able to sit back in the pocket, I mean, you can really shred up the zone with your just simply with your route. So I've noticed that in some of these games, I'm getting into some shootouts with guys, and I'm kind of on the lines. If I have the ball last and I'm going in for the tying score, a lot of times I'm already thinking I'm going for two because if it gets to OT, I'm just like, I don't know if I could stop a guy from scored right now with just how easy it is at times to shred up the defense, especially for me. I'm not fully maxed out. I'm like an 84-ish. So when I'm seeing these guys out there with like Marino and Barry Sanders and whatnot, I'm like, I'm going to be able to stop you here and there, but consistently, I think you're probably going to be able to move the ball fairly well against me, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with, it's fun to be able to stand back in the pocket and not just get absolutely shammered by guys
Right,
breaking
right,
through.
right.
It's fun to stand back and kind of maneuver and zip some dots around. So I
Yeah.
like that. I like that there's not a ton of, I don't feel like people are just rolling out against me. I don't feel like people are stretching against me. I think we're seeing, for me, I'm seeing different routes, but then I'm also seeing a lot of read option, inside zone stuff, which makes it tough because they're in the shotgun and they can kind of do both. It's hard to guard.
Yeah. I mean, so how did you feel? What did you think about EA dropping Lamar so early like they did? Like they gave him the 87 right off the back, and then they gave him the 89, which then pushes him to a 90 overall, and then some teams I think may bump to a 91. How did you feel about that coming so early in the game?
Well, to me, it made sense because he's the cover athlete, right? When you get the covered athlete out there, then you obviously are gonna try to force feed him the cards. Similar like you had Patrick Mahomes and guys of the past. And then I thought honestly that it would be really tough to keep up with him right out of the gate, just because I thought he'd be so fast. But without getting escape artists and with escape artists not being as crazy maybe as it was last year, I don't feel like if I'm playing Lamar versus like Marino right now, because Marino's really good in the pocket and has a lot of throw power. I don't feel like I really want to play one or the other. So even though Lamar drops early, I don't. I'm not super afraid of Lamar. Now that's not to say he hasn't shredded me or ran all over me at times, but I feel like I can put people out there that can at least contain him as well. So I don't know. I mean, I'm fine with it. I guess I'm also fine because I got him, so I guess that was a plus too. But so many people it seems like who were able to get Marino are choosing Marino for the simple fact of having the throw power. One of the big issues for me I've seen with Lamar is just the noodle arm of the 87 not being able really to let a streak develop and huck it up to him.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things is like with Lamar, it's he's so fast, but like I to me it seems like the overall of your team isn't as big as it usually is. You know what I mean? It's more as like
Yeah.
what players can you fit in and make your team fast enough to keep up with certain players. You know what I mean? So it's crazy because I'm using 84 overalls. I have an 87 overall team, but I'm using 84s. Some of them 84 theme builders are fast. You know what I mean? Like, what's his name? I think it's Tyrell. Is the corner, the one corner.
Oh yeah.
He's a 90 speed. So him fitting into that is it's one of those things. It's like, man, okay, this guy's 84. Um, and like without those guys, you're not keeping up. Like Tyreek is just, you know what I mean? Like nutty, bro. Like so hard to keep up. Even if you have a fast corner, it's like if you see Tyreek, you almost have to bail to make sure you cover him because he's burning everybody. Like I was getting burnt the other day, and I'm just like, oh my god. So I started bailing early. Like I started backing out early, and I started picking him off because he just kept trying to go to him. And I realized I was like, okay, Lamar, like you can contain Lamar. Like the way the game is playing, like it's like you could spy and it doesn't cost you. And like if you spied last year, it was like, well, that linebacker's out the way now. Like you're in trouble. You know what I mean? Like the AI seems a little bit different to me now with how it responds to it. If it doesn't just like if it realizes it's a pass, your guy starts breaking towards the pass. He might not get there, but he'll get to the vicinity where he should be. And that to me is a big play because last year is like if you spied, he didn't no matter what the quarterback did, he wouldn't move. He wouldn't go backwards, he wouldn't go to the side. Like he went with the quarterback and that's it. He just shattered the quarterback and didn't act like he didn't know, oh, this guy's passing on me. Oh no, they decided they're running. Like and would just keep spying. Like like on a run, I noticed it last year on runs while you were spying. Like I said, the guy would just your linebacker would just stay there with the quarterback, and the running back just runs past him. Like, what is going on? I mean, it's just one of those things. Like I'm loving how they're like you like to me. It feels like they put like the game is just going in a good direction.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I like how it feels. I like the play of it. I think it, like you said, it's an offensive game. The key will be, what happens when we start to get better and better players. Like right now, you mentioned it. 84s are really good. I mean, I'm using Smith, the tight end, the theme builder tight end. I'm using a number of those corners and safeties from the theme builder set because they're all really good speed, and speed right now kills. It kills. Now, obviously, there's going to be just some game breaker players on the field that are going to maybe trump that speed a little bit. But for the most part, having those speedsters on the field is a huge must right now in the game. As better and better cards come out, it'll be interesting to see how the game develops. And as I mentioned earlier, once again, once the first big tournament hits and we really see some of these big time metas, as you call them, that these pros will come out with, and then everyone trying to mimic those metas, like people trying to mimic a near close flex type scheme when Throne kind of came out with that. People trying to mimic the 1-4-6 defensive schemes. It'll be very interesting to see what comes out once we really start getting into the gameplay, the real competitive gameplay of things, and the weekend leagues and things of that nature. But I like to feel it'll be, I think, a lot better to me once the play clock is fixed, because that's something that is tough right now.
It
Is
is.
the You get down to 9, and because you're losing so much time during the game, it's like you and your opponent might get 2 possessions and then the game's over. If you both have good drives, which it's hard not to have a good drive right now unless you're playing a stout defense, you both have good drives. The clock, you're basically wasting a quarter and a half on a good drive. And so 2 drives and the game's basically over for you and your opponent. So I will be more excited once like that bug's fixed. I think that'll really make the game that much more fun, just having more possession time.
Yeah. Like that's like me is like I'm a clock guy. I like to work the clock. Like I don't care if I win with 5 points on the board. You know what I mean? Like winning is winning to me. And I'm a clock manager. That's how I look at it. Like I love the clock. Like if I can feel as I can get a run on you and I'm gonna get a first down, I'm gonna run the ball. And then maybe every now and then I'll sprinkle in a pass. but like that's all depends on what the situation of the game is too. But if I have the opportunity to hold the clock, like I'm holding your clock. Like I'm gonna, you're gonna be pissed by the time I'm done because you ain't gonna have the ball. But now getting into the gist of this update coming up, I mean, what are your what are your big things besides those bugs? Are you looking for anything special to come from any of these updates?
I don't think there's anything in particular I'm looking for other than bug fix right now. And I think we kind of went over this earlier. Is I don't necessarily think there needs to be a big update gameplay wise, and maybe I haven't played enough games to see that like, oh, this is really broken here or there. To me, it seems like, like you said, if there's someone who is struggling in an area, they're complaining about it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's something wrong with the game. It might be that it worked well from last year, it's not working well this year. I don't see update wise there's anything in particular that I really want other than bug fixes, because I think if you get a couple of those bug fixes, and like I said, you have the play clock that's running right, squads, you can play a complete game without a problem. You can play games without the field glitch where the lines are disappearing. You get rid of some of those mini things, and I think it'll just run a lot smoother. It's like the menu being slow early on. Once that went away, how much easier did it become then to manage your team, to buy cards, to manage the auction block a little bit here and there? So I think some of those little mini things end up making a huge difference. A lot of times are even more important than some of the gameplay stuff you can see. So for me, I don't see a lot that I am necessarily looking forward to in terms of things I want to see on like the next updates.
And now going into, I want to like, what do you think about the NFL right now? Going into the NFL, a little bit away from Madden here. You got a lot going on right now. I mean, you just had Leonard Fournette traded over to the Bucks, or not traded, but picked up. Got released from the Jaguars, goes over to the Bucks. You see him getting played a lot down there. They got a decent committee down there right now.
Yeah, I think you put Fournette on a team because he has that superstar ability, and you pair him with one of the great managers in the history of the game, Tom Brady. Tom Brady is going to be able, I think, with Arians over there, they're going to be able to manage Fournette in a way where maybe he gets 10 to 15 carries, but they're in situations where they need a couple yards here and there. Maybe they need to punch in the goal line. Maybe they have a play drawn up for just a big hitter where they know a guy like Fournette can really bust one. I think that's a dynamite move by the Bucks, and it's the perfect situation because you have a guy everyone respects, Tom Brady. I'm not a super big fan of Tom Brady because of the Tuck rule. I'm a Raiders fan, so there's a little animosity there, but I can't help but respect the guy. And I feel like how many times did the Patriots put those guys on their team that were bad other places, but they go to the Patriots, like a Randy Moss, for example, just really comes to mind, and they would just be absolute dynamite for that team because of the leadership. And I think you get Fournette in a situation with great leadership. I see that as a huge move, and I think the Bucks got a lot better with the addition of Fournette.
Man, that's a good take on that. I mean, I think what happens is this down in the Jaguars. I think people just get sick of it. You know what I mean? It's they're losing. They're losing. They had the team. They had. I don't know what their general manager's doing because they had a team and just they made the playoffs not too long ago, I believe. And
Well, yeah, they pushed the Patriots to the brink. Like it was like the AFC Championship game,
yeah,
like what 2 or 3 years ago,
yeah, and I
and they
mean,
go from that to almost dead in the water now.
yeah, I mean, like to me, it just doesn't make sense. Is like, why do you get rid of everybody? Why did you get rid of Allen Robinson? Why did you get rid of those guys that are down there? You let one of the best cornerbacks in the game go. Like, I mean, I don't even know if they have AJ Boye. Is AJ Boye still down there? Did he get? I think he got traded too. I'm not even positive. I don't even think they have
Yeah,
both those guys.
I'm thinking of AJ Bouye from Mutt, and he had a Jaguars uniform on last year. But yeah, I cannot remember. I think you're right. The Jaguars were like this ticking time bomb. They were so good and just maybe a quarterback away from being a really, really special team. and they go from that to being almost irrelevant in a heartbeat. Other than you have the stash, Gardner Minshew over there, Minshew mania. He's gonna stir people up in his own right, but I don't know. It's like on a team, it seems like you still need that quarterback type leader in the locker room who can really keep some of those guys like a Ramsey, Fournette, some of those big personalities in line in order to win a championship. And they just didn't have someone.
There you go. Boy, he's a Bronco. He's a Bronco.
Bronco boy. He's there to steer us. He knows. He knows.
That's what I'm saying. You let so much talent go within the last 4 years. You let so much talent. Like, it's mind blowing to me the talent that they let go. Because didn't they just let what's his name go to? What's the other guy? Oh my god! I think his last name starts with an N. Juku or something like that.
Yeah. I think they traded him to Minnesota.
Yeah, like
I think the Raiders were in on that a little bit.
Like I don't know what the deal is. I'm confused. I'm like, these are like, and then Campbell, ain't he went to the Ravens, correct?
Yeah, and then you had Campbell who left town too, and it's like, gosh, dang man, so many dominant players, and I'm sure also players who are due quite a bit of money. And
so their salary cap was trash.
Yeah,
like it was.
Yeah, so. Like I don't know. I mean, that's hard about the NFL is like, where do you really put it's the kind of the finite resources thing. Where do you put your money into? There's always been the debate about if you pay a really good quarterback, do you have enough money to pay that really good defensive player? Because quarterbacks cost so much to pay for a big time guy. And so I guess they decided that their money was spent better elsewhere other than having those guys like Fournette, Ramsey, Bouye. But that's a lot of talent out the window, though. That's a lot of talent out the door.
Yeah, I mean, like the recovery, like, I mean, you don't recover from that kind of talent in a year or two. Yeah. Like, I mean, like, it's just baffling that they just throw it away. Like, and they really didn't get a lot for any of those guys they even traded. Like, I don't even think they got much. I don't even think the Ramsey deal was that great. They got for him. But like what do you, as a player that you play for that, you know what I mean? Like, you play for that team. How do you even respect it? But they just like, they basically look, they're basically telling you, look, we're completely we're going from ground zero and rebuilding.
No, I totally see that. And the Raiders, once again, I hit on one of my teams a couple years ago when Gruden came on board. They shipped out some good players, Mack, Amari Cooper, and I think there was a lot of question marks regarding like some of those moves as well. And you kind of look at now how the Raiders have really turned those into some good young players like Josh Jacobs. You have Crosby. You have Jordan, not Jordan, but Abrams, a safety who's going to be really good this year. And so sometimes you look and see if you can trade some of those into draft picks and really build the team from the ground up.
Yeah.
But at what cost, right? At what cost, and how do the players in the locker room at the time, how do they respect the moves when you're removing some of those top talents? Same with like the Texans taking Hopkins, one of the best receivers in football,
I'm still
away
baffled
from Watson, man.
Still baffled by that move.
Like that one is like, I don't know about that one,
man. They got shit for return on that too. I don't even think, what did they trade him for? I think was it like a 5th round pick or something like that? Yeah, I think it was kind of like something light. I'm not sure what the pick was, but it wasn't what you thought he would go for. You know what I mean? He's easily a 1st round, 2nd round pick guy you're gonna give up. Got a
he's not a big problem guy either, and that's another thing. It's like you get rid of a guy who's a top receiver, and it's not like he's this big time issue guy in the locker room.
From what I understand, I guess he wanted more money, and Bill O'Brien's like, he ain't getting it. See ya. I'm like,
yeah,
what? So you have Deshaun Watson, and then you give him almost a washed up receiver to in place of him. I don't even remember the guy's name that they got. Oh, who was
I
it?
think they picked up Cooks, didn't they? I mean, I
Yeah,
know
I
I feel
mean,
like they also got like David Johnson, who they think could, have a bounce back campaign and do really well. And
Johnson's
it's
not
big
bouncing
question
back.
marks they got. It's big question marks is what they got. It's not one of those things where they got lottery tickets. Like sometimes you might pick up a lottery ticket when you get some of those young guys, but
Yeah.
when you get these older guys, it's like a big time question mark.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money going into these guys that who knows how long they last. I think Johnson's almost done. And as you said, Fuller can't stay healthy, and that's the thing. Is like I was really blown away by that trade, and then now you got the Saints. The Saints are looking to deal Kamara. Like I'm like, what is going on? And like I'm actually so pumped for football this year because so many big players have moved. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And there's not all that. There's not. He's just one dominant team. Like now you don't like the Patriots have Cam Newton. I like Cam. I
Hmm.
like what Cam does. He's a baller. He works hard, but it's not Tom Brady. I'm super interested in what happens with that whole situation up there because I mean Cam is the opposite of what Belichick typically likes, and he's a flashy guy. He celebrates, which is like Bill Belichick hates it. You know what I mean? And so I'm very interested to see how that dynamic changes if Stedham comes in, ends up taking over for him. So I think Brady's gonna do. I think Brady like we're gonna find out if Brady's a system guy this year. You know what I mean? Like that's what we're really gonna find out when it comes down to Tom is if he only did good because he was in that system for so long. But he also has a hell of an offense coming up with the Bucks, man. He's got receivers, he's got tight ends, like he's got everything he needs to succeed down there. Now the line, a little iffy to me, but what's your take on that whole situation?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm excited. Like think about it. What I mean, we are 1 week away. At this time next week, I mean, we're going to be what 30 minutes away from the first game starting, which I think is the Chiefs and Texans. So
Yeah.
it's crazy to think we are 1 week away from NFL football. I'm super excited. NFL is definitely my favorite sport to watch. And then the tough thing was without these preseason games, I just felt like I wasn't getting into the season as much as I usually do. And like, I just recently started kind of getting back into like the news and such because of fantasy football. I finally got around to getting into some fantasy football drafts and getting all that stuff rolling. So now I feel like I am like starting to gear up and ready to go. But the no preseason, I think definitely removes some of the hype from a lot of people. However, like I said, now kind of wrapping my head around it, I'm looking at Tom Brady and the Bucks, and I think that even though Tom Brady was in that great system for so long, maybe there's some struggles in Tampa. He has such a good offense though. He's got Godwin out there. He's got Evans out there. He got his buddy Gronk out there
I
now.
think it's the best
So
offense
many
he's ever
things to
had.
work with. Yeah, so many things to work with. I mean, he's got speed, he's got size. It's just such a diverse thing to play with, and he's not going to be playing in freaking snow half the time either. And so that's a whole nother issue. Is like he played well in those conditions, but when you're playing outside in 80-degree weather, 90-degree weather, you can really throw the ball around. And I
Yeah.
don't know. Are we going to see Tom Brady flinging the rock around this year? You might. You might. I predict the Bucks have a really good season. I think Tom Brady has a great season. Um, but will Evans and Godwin be okay with Jameis Winston really hucked the ball everywhere, including to the other team. Tom Brady is not a guy to huck the ball everywhere. He's a guy that if you are a fifth round pick and you're open because you run the right route, he's going to throw you the ball. So how are those guys going to do when they don't have those big time games? That'll be the interesting part to me.
I mean, I think it's gonna be really good. Like I think they're gonna be able to. Tom's a manager, bro. He's a game guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've seen him do it multiple times in his career, like nobody else. I don't like. I can't stand when he wins because I'm tired of him winning. But I mean, you can't like knock him. You know what I mean? The guy's good. Like he's Just one of those guys. It'll be a long time until you see another one like him. And like I said, like you said, like that offense is just. I think it might be the best offense ever had around him with that much talent. I don't know if that hurts him or if it's a good thing for him because he's always used to having to, like you said, play with the fifth round picks, the later guys, and have maybe one or two top receivers here and there. Um, I mean, this last like huge receiver was probably Randy Moss, and then you've had Edelman, and you've had those other guys and Gronk and Aaron Hernandez when they were there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but he's never had a offense as talented as this. Like, I mean, you got first round picks across the board. I mean, you got Godwin, you got like you said, Evans, you got OJ Howard, you got Gronk, you got like there's the backfield is now a little better than what it was because you got Ronald. I think Ronald's gonna do fantastic. You got Shady down there, and you got Fournette. Like, that's a lot of weapons, man.
No, yeah, I love what he's got. I would say that his offense in New England the year that they went undefeated and lost in the Super Bowl, where he had Moss and Welker and all those guys, that offense was probably better as far as a full entire offense goes. I mean, they were just so dominant. But as far as just raw talent weapons, I mean, he's got a lot. He's got a lot. When you got guys who can flat just catch a slant route and go for 70 yards for a touchdown because they're that talented, and he's got two of those type of guys, then you definitely have some cooking over there. So I'm excited to see how he does, and how that division shapes now with Cam Newton leaving the division. Tom Brady comes in, and then you still have the Saints, who have had so many good years with Drew Brees at the helm, and then the Falcons, who are the most unpredictable team on the planet. Right? They have the offensive weapons to just dominate, and yet they just I don't know what was going on last year, but they just Matt Ryan. I thought Matt Ryan would definitely be a perennial
I
go
think
to the playoffs and top passing quarterback, and
I
it's
think
just not
Matt's on.
happening.
I think Matt's on his way out. Honestly, I mean,
Oh man, surprising to me. He was so
like I
good.
like
He
Matt.
was so good, and then
Matt used to be one of my guys I picked up in fantasy every year. Like
yeah,
people be
yeah.
like, why are you picking him up? Why are you doing it? Like, I'm like, watch, because he's consistent. Like, I'm a consistent when I go fantasy, I like consistent players. Because then I
Hmm.
don't have to guess. Like, do I need to put him on the bench? Do I need to pull him off the bench? You know what I mean? I like those guys. I know I'm gonna put him in. He's gonna put up points. I'm good to go. And Matt was doing that, and I loved Matt. And then I forget what year it was, but Matt just started eating the dust, and I'm just like, bro, you're on the bench. I'm like, I can't let you
On the
sit here.
bench.
I can't sit here no more. Like, and watch this go down. I'm losing games and everything. I'm just like, and then I made the switch. Actually, I think it was last year. I made the switch out of it, and I was what was I 0-5 to start the season because he was having just god awful year. Matt was he had a horrible year last year, and I switched out of him, and then I started moving up, and started switching the guys up. Next thing you know, I go off and end up like I think I ended up like 10 and something, and I go into the playoffs. The last game before the playoffs, I knocked the number one guy out. He didn't have a loss all season until he faced me. I beat him, and then we end up going into it, and we ended up playing again in the last week before the finals. I ended up beating him again. I beat him twice. Gave him his only two losses of the season. I make it to the championship. The next guy that has like the best record, he was number two overall, is the guy I faced in the championship, and I ended up beating him to win the championship last year. So
Hmm.
I was like, man, I was like, so I haven't even thought about fantasy this year because, like you said earlier with preseason, I'm just like, how do you draft? Like, how do you make that draft? Like, how do you go off of it? You don't know who's making rosters, especially like these young guys. You know what I mean? Like, you got some young talent coming out that's going to be very special. Like, I mean, you get them every year, but I think there's some really special talent coming out in this like this this year. And then you have like Schuler says you have the guys opting out and stuff like that. I haven't even thought about, like, everybody keeps bugging me. They're like, "Are we doing our the sub only fantasy league?" And I have no idea. Like, how are we even drafting? How are we even doing anything? So it's like I'm just stuck on that. I want to see the roster. Like, let me see the rosters and let me draft from that. But it's weird, man. It really is weird this year.
Oh, I agree. I think
Been-
that's part of the hype. The no preseason, the hype is just so off for me. And I think, and this, might help you too. I think once I started, I had like 3 fantasy drafts this weekend into early this week because I'm in 3 different leagues. And I felt that that kind of got me focused up, and I was able to really see, all right, this is kind of how some of these teams are shaping up, and I was able to learn about some of the players who I maybe didn't know about, and there's still some players who I'm kind of question marks about, but I think everyone is in that same boat. So I definitely got more excited after getting into the fantasy drafts and drafting, because that's always a lot of fun, and just kind of seeing just what players are really expected to do really well. Like you have Miles Sanders in Philadelphia because he had such a good end to the year last year, supposed to do really well. And that's something that to me just didn't even click. I'm like, Miles Sanders, like top 10 type fantasy guy, really? But then I'm looking at reading some of the facts on him. I'm like, he had a really good end of the year last year, and so some of those things are interesting. And then just what type of player is going to step up with now what he's been given. And I think a player like Dak Prescott could have a nice year because you have, in addition to a big time receiver they drafted in the first round there, and then and also you still have Cooper and Gafford, and then you have Elliott coming back. It's like he's got a bunch of weapons on the offensive end. I think the Cowboys could be a surprising team, man.
yeah, I mean, they have the line to do it. They have, I mean, their defense. I don't know how good their corners and stuff are. I mean, I think they're gonna be shaky there, but I'm just so interested to see how how they're picking these guys and how they're like how these final rosters come together and how they make the cuts and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like they're not getting these guys, and that's the thing that really gets me is like these guys bust their ass to make it to the NFL, and then they don't get games to prove themselves, to show themselves, and all that. And you're just like, and like I feel it's like somebody's gonna cut somebody that's good. They're gonna miss that diamond in the rough because there's none of these games. And I feel bad for those guys. Like I said, man, these guys work their ass off to make it there. They're the lucky 1% that gets drafted or gets undrafted and gets signed. Uh, Out of the hundreds of players that come out of college play ball, and it's just like, what do you do with that? You know what I mean? Like, how do like guys are you allowed to keep? Or I don't even know. I thought I heard something that they're allowed to keep a little bit more on the practice squad this year. I'm not positive how if I heard that right or not, but like it just baffles me. You don't give them at least one game, 1 or 2 games. So like everybody's just got to go right into week one. I think the first couple weeks are going to be sloppy as shit.
Yeah, I think the NFL really wanted the preseason, and I think the players, from my understanding, were completely against it. And then that's where they kind of came to the head is like, I don't think the players wanted anything to do with the preseason. NFL obviously wants preseason because the more games
Revenue.
NFL gets, the more money they make. And from a player standpoint, like as long as they get to play their season, that's going to be their money. So I think the players did not want to do any of the preseason, so you didn't get it. And who really probably loses in that is the fan. And then, like you said, those like third string type guys who are really on the bubble, and that's kind of where they make their name as in those preseason games, and they kind of make those roster jumps. And it's hard to do any sort of roster maneuvering because in practice, I'm sure they're doing more than they usually do in terms of like hitting and actually scrimmaging against one another. But they're never going to go full bore like a regular
Yeah,
preseason game.
you'll never get
They're
that
never going
full
to
game
go full.
speed. Never get full
Yeah.
game speed. That's why I'm interested to see what happens the first couple weeks. I mean, because it's like not having that, you didn't get any like hits. You're getting hits from your guys, but you're not getting that fool guy, like that dude's coming 100 mile an hour and he's just ready.
Yeah.
And I honestly think you're going to see a lot of injuries
Yeah, I
because
think you're going to
people
see
aren't.
injuries, penalties. You see it every year from big time guys like Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers doesn't go out and do preseason anymore, and a lot of these big time quarterbacks don't. And you can see it from a guy like Aaron Rodgers in the first week or two. The offense is very vanilla, and some of the route combinations are really off. I think you're going to see that from everybody. I think you're going to see a lot of probably false start type penalties. You're going to see a lot of cramping. You're probably going to see a lot. There's probably going to be a lot of those commercials where it goes to commercial because there's another injury on the field where it goes commercial for 30 seconds. So I agree. You're going to see a lot of penalty, injury, and I think just general sloppiness. Unless you're a team, I'm sure a team like the Chiefs is going to absolutely thrive against a lot of the other competition because the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They just have talent. They can basically play backyard football and still dominate people. So I think the better teams are probably going to feast on the rest of the NFL for the first few weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be, like I said, it's gonna be interesting because some of these stadiums aren't having fans, and it's just how, like, to a player, bro, you come into the stadium and there's nobody yelling. Like, that's how they get amped up. That's how they feel like they get going in the game, man. You get, like, I know how it is, man. I used to play, like I said, I played ball for so long, and I love it when there's fans there screaming. You're getting pumped up, ready to go. Coming out to nothing's gonna be weird, man. No, like, pregame, like, warm up, like blowing up the helmets and running out the tunnel and all that good stuff. Like, so it's gonna be weird. But now
Yeah,
go.
you've seen it. You've seen it with the basketball and the baseball, though.
That's weird to me, man. It's
As
weird.
a fan at home, they when they pipe in the noise, especially in the basketball stuff I've been watching, it's like there's a lot that sounds pretty real. And I'm sure it's different to the players, but like there's a couple big time games last night, playoff wise, and they're beating their chest, they're going crazy. So I don't know. I wonder if the players with kind of those audio pump in volume things, if they will still be able to get that same type of adrenaline hype from that.
I don't know. It's kind of, it's, well, I guess we'll get to see. But give me, I want to get into your podcast here a little bit before we get into giving you some questions from the chat.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about your podcast and what it's about, man.
Yeah, so basically, my bro Taco Two Kids and I, we when it was so dead, just trying to come up with different ideas to make things fun, other than trying to play head-to-head seasons on like a Wednesday night, right? So we were like, we had an idea from one of our followers. He's like, dude, you guys should just do a podcast and just like chat. And I'm like, okay, so we got into a podcast, and like our first one just kind of came up with different things we saw going around the community. Talked about different issues we were seeing, and kind of just did a bounce back and forth, similar to how you and I are doing it right now. But it was more so just community wide, I would say. And so, one of the big issues when we started this a month ago was like, all right, there's such a fatigue in Madden right now that it's hard to stream. So what are some things that you do as a streamer to still make it fun? There's such a fatigue in Madden now that there's definitely streamers that are having trouble getting their streams rolling and getting viewers. So what do you do to try to get viewers? So we were doing things like that. We were asking questions from the community. The Madden 20 beta had dropped, or 21 beta had dropped, so we were talking quite a bit about that. So I would say we did it probably about 3 to 4 times once a week, and we kind of see what came up the week in the world of Madden and really slash the small streamer community, and we just kind of tried to bounce different ideas off each other in regards to that. Every once in a while, we'd also bring a different person in from the community to kind of talk with us a little bit, or to maybe do just a little mini type game with us. And we just tried to keep it fresh with things that seemed relevant, not only to us, but to different streamers that we would hang out with.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched it a couple times, haven't got too involved because you guys kind of rock the same time I'm live, so it's kind of hard to listen in and everything like that. But I've checked it out and caught some of it. Um, What is your direction for it? I mean, is it going to take on a certain build? Like, is it going to be something like it's going to be strictly Madden? Or are you going to get into more topics? And how are you looking to take it into its own direction?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was the funny thing was the first podcast we did. I think we did it for like an hour, and I don't think we even talked about Madden the entire time. It really kind of just took on a life of its own when we started talking about. I think we each kind of went into our backgrounds of streaming and just COVID and kind of how we got into streaming and what drove us. And then from there, the chat kind of chimed in with some different things they wanted to know. And so it became more of a background thing. And so it was kind of cool because we just gotta be ourselves and just do a general chat and not even talk about anything Madden related, which was a little refreshing. So in that regard, we kind of took its own life of its own in there. And then the next stream, we actually brought in retro video games, and we just talked about old video games we had, and we showed them on camera. Like I showed, like, I don't know if you had like the old Nintendo, but I had like Jordan versus Bird and things like that
Yes,
on old
sir.
Nintendo,
One of my favorite games.
or like Madden 94 on Sega. I think that's the first Madden I owned, so I had that I popped out. And going forward, I think it's going to be probably there's always going to probably be some sort of Madden element to our podcast, but I think we're still also just trying to figure out, and I mentioned this earlier, is like, what specifically do we want to do with it? Because if we're just coming on and only talking about Madden, is that going to be really relevant or interesting to everyone else? Is there something else that we can kind of mix in with it, like we did with our first couple, that would make it more fun? Would it be good to bring in a person or two from our community to talk with them and see kind of what they're seeing? Would it be good? We have some really good players in our community. Maybe talk with some of the good time pro type guys we have and see what they're seeing from the game. So I think for us, we're really trying to figure that out. I also have another guy in our community, Midnight Hayabusa. Really good friends with him. I think he was actually the guy that when I first rated you for the very first time, maybe a month or two ago, he was the one that recommended, hey, you gotta go raid Smee. He's on right now. Go raid him. Super, super cool guy. And then after I rated you, I'm like, oh yeah, I've been on Twitter and I've seen you posting up the podcast. That's always super interesting to me. So even Midnight and I, we streamed our fantasy football draft this past weekend, and we had a pretty decent lively chat with it. And so we were even just bouncing around an idea of doing like a fantasy football podcast type thing. So got a couple ideas in the bank and just trying to wrap my head around and see where we want to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you have a good start. I mean, it's a tricky thing when you first get going, because I know, like, I had this idea like for 2 years almost before I even started it. Like, I had it and I was like, man, I was like, I really want to do something where it's different. A lot of streamers are a lot of content creators, streamers, or anybody that does a podcast, anybody that has like anything going on, they're not about to go out and bring on other streamers and promote them. And I was like, but I'm that guy. I want to do that. I want to help everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I have a decent following. I have a decent viewing. I mean, like, I'm in a good spot. Like, I'm like I said, it's not super huge. It's not Pendler big or anything like that. But it's it's in a good spot where I'm able. Hey, look, guys, let's go. Let's go get somebody on here that may not have that big following, or let's go. Maybe they're not being seen. They have a great thing going on as yourself with your podcast and stuff like that. You hold a decent crew in there with that thing, and I'm like, well, maybe we can. Let's do this. Let's get these guys on here and might not be getting this, and let the community see who they are. Let's get these guys a little bit of getting seen, grab them some follows, something. Maybe they're in that little rut and they're not being too entertaining on stream because they're not getting follows, they're not getting views, and that was the whole goal. I was like, I'm gonna put these guys, go grab content creators, Madden pros, and we've had multiple. big Madden pros on here. User, we've had Noah, that's a belt winner. We've had a lot of big people in here, and even like bigger streamers as ScoMo, Big Kev, and all those guys. And that was the goal of it. Is like, let's get these guys out here and let them be seen. You know what I mean? And so that's what we did with it, and that was it's taken off for some people. Some people have their streams have gotten better. I mean, it might not have been huge, but it gave them they were seen by a bunch of people. You know what I mean? So now they have some new followers. They got some more viewage, and it gives them sometimes just that little bit just can go a long way and give them that little kick in the butt, make them want to be creative again and try to push yourself a little bit more. And that was the goal of the whole podcast for me.
Yeah, man, and I think that is super super tight because, like you said, being able to get those type of guys on there, you get small streamer like myself on there. I know Bronco Boy's been on here, but then you're also getting in User on here and freaking Noah, like you said, a belt winner. And so I think it's cool that you're able to bring in the small streamer, but you had some of these big time guys, especially on the Madden scene, right? When we ended Madden 20, the MCS last year, it's like who was on the end of the scene? Like User was on there as the big time commentator, big time analyst, and you have Noah in there as one of the big time competitors. So
We
to
actually
be able
had Decroft
to
on
bring
too.
those guys.
Decroft was
Yeah,
actually on
and
too.
Decroft, and so it's like it's so cool that you're able to build this talk show, and it really is a really cool talk show into its own big time thing, and that's like I said, I was like, man, it'd be super fun to be on there and just chat it up because a lot of ways I enjoy doing something like this more so than even playing the game sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. Like, I really love this. Like, if I could figure out a way to do this every stream, I would do this every stream. Like, if this is what my
Yeah.
stream would turn into, and I knew it would survive, and people would enjoy it, I would, I would gladly do this every stream without a hesitation.
Except for when the Sean Taylor card comes out. Then I know you're picking that up and playing.
Look, you want to know how bad it gets when the Sean Taylor card comes out? I
There
streamed on
might be some bundles.
I
Some
streamed
bundles bought.
I streamed on Christmas.
Oh,
Kid you
I
not,
love it.
bro. I kid
I
you
love it.
not. I kid you not.
Oh
My
man,
wife
that's
was
funny.
so pissed. I mean, like, she was fuming. She was mad as shit because she was still sleeping, and because we had did the,
Oh man.
we did all the Christmas stuff. The kids had open presents, and they were all passing
Oh.
back out again. You know how they open up presents.
Oh yeah, and then they're
Then
gone.
they're gone, and they go back to sleep or whatever they do. And she fell asleep. I'm like, looking at the clock. I'm like, I'm going to fucking rip a bundle. I don't give a. So I'm going to pull Sean Taylor. I got online. I'm being quiet. Like, why are you being so quiet? I'm like, wife doesn't know streaming. and I was sitting here, and I got she came down the stairs, and I'm like, fuck.
You're like,
Like,
I'm sitting. If you don't move, she won't see you. If you don't move, she won't see
I was
you.
just sitting here, and I looked over. I called her come down the stairs. I'm like, oh, I'm fucking dead. And then I'm sitting here, and she's stomping up the stairs and mad as shit.
Oh,
And then
man.
I'm down here. I'm like, fuck it. I'm being loud and everything now because I'm already busted. She's
I'm
already mad.
done.
So she starts yelling. She's like, ah. I'm like, I'm coming. I was like, boys, one more pack. I pulled it, and it was Sean Taylor in the last pack. And I'm down here screaming like I'm having a field day. I jump out the chair. I'm like, yeah, we fucking pulled him. I'm going off down here. And she's yelling down the stairs, you're a fucking asshole.
Oh, Jesus. They're like, I'll take the punishment.
I
The
did,
punishment
dude.
was worth the reward.
I really took the punishment. I didn't even care. I was like, we got Sean Taylor. We're in this shit. Yo, Chef, thanks for the raid, brother.
That's funny, man.
I'm like, we pulled him. And then it was the next week. I think the next week is something. We do something next week. I forget it was. I think it's going into New Year's Eve or something like that. And Cleo Mack was out. And I'm
Oh, yep.
and it's like we had like a New Year's Eve something going on, and uh Cleo Mack came out, and I'm down here, and she's like, get off the stream, people are coming. I'm like, babe, I'm coming. She's like, you said that. And we're going at it, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta pull another one. And I did it again. I fucking yanked Cleo Mack on the last pack, and I'm screaming, and she's just so mad.
Walk off.
Like,
Walk off.
2 walk-offs in back-to-back weeks. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I gotta go. We're gonna. I just randomly went down my list of people that follow me. Oh, we're going here, and send it off.
It was both your luckiest week and your most dead week of all time, right? Like
she was. I was sitting there, I'm like, babe, like, I'm like, it was Sean Taylor though, like, and like, she knows how much I love Sean Taylor. Like I said, for today, I like, this card's probably not gonna be worth too much, but I pulled this today, and it was the first one I've ever pulled in my life. So I was like, yes, I wouldn't. I was like I was more excited in this than the autographs that I pulled.
That's cool.
Like, I'm like, the guy thought I pulled like some monster car. He was like, he thought I pulled some monster car, because like I pulled it, and I was like, holy fuck! Like, I was sitting here, and I was super pumped. And he's like, what'd you pull? I was like, a Sean Taylor. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I said, he goes, is it special or something? I was like, no. I was like, it looks like a base card to me. I said, but Sean Taylor's my guy. I was like, I have an obsession with this guy. I'm like, he's on my wall. But so
yeah, once he makes the wall, that's a big time deal then, right?
Right. I mean, he's on my shirt behind me. So
and he's on your emote.
Yeah, he's definitely it's my guy, man. Like, I felt like I just fell in love with his story. I fell in love with his story as he played, and how he was changing his life, and things were just going in the right direction for the guy, and then tragically lost his life to a couple punks.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, I actually got to meet his mom, his dad, and his daughter.
Wow, that's pretty
accident. It was by accident. I was down at the game when they were putting him into the Ring of Fame around the Redskins. They have like a Ring of Honor, Ring of Fame, whatever they call it, around the Redskins Stadium, and they were putting his thing up. They were unveiling it, and I was walking, and I had to bump into his dad, and I was like, wow, man, those jerseys are really cool. They had these really cool custom ass Sean Taylor jerseys. I'm like, where'd you get those, man? I'd like to have one of those. And there was like, and his dad, like, he's like, yeah, he's like, that was my son. We had him custom made and all this and he's like, this is his mom, this is his daughter. I'm just like, I'm more starstruck than I've ever been in my life. Like, not even, like, I've met so many players from the Redskins and bigger players like Von Miller and all those guys. I've met all those guys from being down at the games, and I've never really got starstruck until I met them, and I was just like, it was a cool, humbling experience.
Wow, that's a good story right there.
I'll never forget it. Never forget it. I wish I would have got my picture with them, but you know, when you get in those moments, you're not thinking about those things. Like, you're kind of like stuck.
Yeah.
So, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into the part of the podcast where we allow you guys to ask Ninja questions, and Ninja can ask me questions.
Ooh,
so he gets to take over. He gets to take over the show here, and you guys get to harass him. So
yeah, feel free to pop out. Oh God, Sniper. Sniper's here, so who knows what? Oh, Sniper just laughing at the emote, I think. I guess I'll just kick off one. How did you get started into streaming?
How did I get into this? So I watched ScoMo. I watched that's like my favorite streamer of all time. So I watched him on YouTube, and I knew nothing about Twitch at that time, and I just kept watching him. I was just watching him open up packs and just having fun, man. Having a ton of fun with everything he was doing. He was playing the game, showing off the cards. I'm like, I could do this. Like, I play video games. I was like, I'm pretty good at the game. Like, let's show this off. So kind of like what I did is I got it. I watched him, and I was like, and then at that time, it was kind of when PlayStation 3, I believe, or it might have been the beginning of PlayStation 4 actually. They introduced that the thing that you could stream to YouTube from your console before Twitch became part of it. And I started streaming on YouTube, and I had fun over there. I didn't know anything about viewage and everything, but people were watching the videos. I kept seeing views on the videos I was putting up. I had no camera, no nothing. It was straight from there, and I fell in love with it. Like I got addicted to it, and I was like, I got to get more about this. And then my buddy's like, Hey, well, you should go to Twitch. It's probably going to be better for you. And I'm like, what the fuck is a Twitch? I'm like, no
That was
clue
how I
about it.
was.
No clue about it. And I get on Twitch and I'm like, I open it up, I sign up, I get all that going. I'm like, I'm overwhelmed because there was so much that I didn't know. And I'm like, bro, what happened to just pushing live and going and playing the game? And from there, it was just one of those things. I just started doing it. Then Twitch came to the PS4. I started doing all that, and I fell in love with it. And I started learning more and more from a couple of friends that are still friends with me. They've been with me for almost 3 years now. I've just I grew on it, man, and I started gaining followers and shit just started taking off. And we had these big raids coming in, like holding 1,500 people in here and having 3,000, 3,500 people in here from month head. Like it was just like it kept feeding and feeding and feeding. And I'm just like, I can do this, and this is what I'm gonna do. Like this is what I'm meant to do. Like I knew right then. I was like, my story is not gonna be the same as somebody else's. I might not catch on as quick as somebody else, but I'll get where I want to be. And like I keep saying is with it is I don't need a partner check mark to be where I want to be. And I have a great community. I mean, you don't hold 300 and some subs and get paid. Like, you don't get that if you don't have a great community. You know what I mean? Like you don't if you don't have that around you and you don't have great people around you, it just never happens. You know what I mean? And like some people will never experience that. I'm lucky to. So that's just how I look at it.
Yeah, brother. No, yeah, it sounds like you've had a super nice, awesome ride into it. But obviously, because you're a super likable guy and easy to just sit down and listen to you. So I'm just looking at the chat box here. We have a question from a young man named Fendler, and he is a pretty good streamer in his own right. Ninja, you have 5 minutes to help a young streamer discourage about his or her numbers. What do you tell them? So I have a couple thoughts on this. One, and this actually I think came from Fendler early on, is like he talked about, and this was early back when Fendler was right around the 20 or 30 viewers, and now he's more in the 60, 70, 80 range. He would always say, because people would ask him, he's like, you just always got to stream like whether you're streaming, you have one person or 100, you got to stream the same way. You got to bring that energy no matter what, because you never know when you're going to get that big raid. You never know when someone's just going to pop in to check you out, and you got to keep that energy going. And if you sit there and kind of just like, and this happened to me, one Sunday night weekend league, I only had 2 people in there. I'm kind of sitting there just about ready to almost shut it off. I'm kind of in pout mode at that point. Like, God, man, no one's in here. This is just sucky. And I kept my energy up because there was those 2 people in there, and they were chatting with me and they're hanging out with me, right? And I kind of remember that sticking in my head, what Fendler said. And from there, I got, a raid of like 28, which is a nice raid. That's a good raid, especially when you're sitting there with 2. So all of a sudden, I'm sitting there with 2. I get this nice raid. I'm in this huge weekend league game. I come back and get this big win after getting a raid. I think I get the most wins I ever got in weekend league that night. And it's like, and I got a bunch of follows. I probably got a couple subs from it. And it's like, I feel like that all happened just because I kept my mind right about it, and I was like, I just got to stay with it. I just got to keep my energy up. I can't sit here and pout. I'm not just going to turn off the stream. I'm going to keep up and do what I can to stream the best I can. I think that would be my first point to someone who's in that type of situation, is you always have to stream like whether it's 1 to 100. And then I think you have to find what your niche is. I think you have to find what your niche is, because so many times, like, you look on the list right now and you might see, like, I think I see like 10 different people up or 15 different people up. If every single person puts, Madden 21, come chill, and every single person's doing the same thing, then what's gonna make a follower or a potential follower come to your stream compared to the other people's streams, especially if someone has 15, 20 in their stream and you have 2. And so I think you got to kind of find what fits you well. Like, I'm watching a guy by the name of Up and Adam just absolutely killing it right now, and he's someone I referenced a couple weeks ago to someone who was really struggling streaming wise, and post on Twitter about it. And I referenced Up and Adam because Up and Adam was originally a YouTuber, still does a lot of YouTubing, came on Twitch, and he's getting about 30 right now in his stream because he just has his own thing. Like, he does his maple syrup shots, he does his Canadian tuxedos, he has his emotes, and he's basically crafted on his own, Canadian style, his stream. He has this chalkboard in the background, he's got his just cool flow about him. And because that's just his feel, that's just how he does it, and that makes him so different from everyone else who's streaming at that time. So I think you got to have your niche, and I think you really got to stream no matter it's 1 to 100. And Buffalo, don't feel attacked because it was not any way, shape, or form to you. I actually responded to the tweet of the person who sent it out with a big long message, and I basically said the same exact things in the tweet I sent out.
So Sniper wants to know, when did you realize you were cheeks at Madden?
When I was cheeks at Madden, when I played Sniper and I almost lost, and then my Xbox kicked me out of the game, and I probably would have lost because I was going in for the game-winning field goal with game go-ahead field goal with a minute left in CFM, and so he would have had like 50 seconds left to drive the field and get a field goal, which my defense was trash. So I think he would have got the field goal easy. CFM, he had Tyreek Hill, and there's just not a whole lot stopping freaking Tyreek Hill, especially in year two of CFM, when he's that much faster.
Yeah, I mean, and then they said, I guess Triller Bob said, I guess Madden is unlocking drops like MLB did.
Ooh, interesting. I'd say go for it, man.
And then they said, Kramer wants to know, how did you become a Ninja Turtle and Spider-Man at the same time?
At the same time, I have both costumes, and I have channel point rewards to actually wear the costumes. And so I think one night I put on the turtle costume and just put on the Spider-Man mask. There you go. There's a Ninja Turtle Spider-Man all in the same gate, all at the same time. And I talk about niches. That's something that I do that's just different, right? I mean, there might be other streamers that are better at the game, but I freaking pop into a Ninja Turtle costume, right? I try to do something different. I think that's what you have to do to hopefully, separate yourself and gain some views here and there.
Hey, you better scroll back up, because you did put that. Scroll back up. It says, did you guys see Madden? Yeah, It does say that. You must have typed wrong. How much did I pay for this chair? $40.
Oh, for that chair? Yeah. I got mine for like 140, I think. It's
actually a Secret Labs chair.
And you got $40 for it?
Somebody was selling it. Yeah, it was used, but somebody was selling it for $40. I was like, I'm on it, and it wasn't too. I mean, it's done its job. I mean, it's pretty spent now, but I mean,
but hey man, it's a chair that does its job, right?
Yeah, I mean, these chairs are typically, for a Secret Lab chair, you're probably pay anywhere from $400 to $500.
Oh yeah.
But there's some of the
like nice leather.
There's some of the best chairs you can get.
Oh
like,
yeah,
even this one being on, like, being where it was, it's still super nice. Like, they are really comfortable. I have nothing to say about it. I could sit in for, I mean, you guys already seen, I sat in for 40 straight hours. My ass didn't hurt.
You Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about that. So you ended up, how much did you end up raising for your prevention there? Was it like 4,000? What
No,
did I see,
we
or was it
actually
even more
and
than
it
that?
was more than that. We actually ended
Oh
at
cow.
50 5100.
5,100. And so did you stream for 40 hours straight, or was it a
No,
combination stream?
I streamed for 40 hours straight.
Okay, okay, that was one. So yeah, that was really cool. I know that I was able at least to get a raid over and hang out for a little while, and get some boys over and hang out. And I hope, I mean, did you get a lot of raids and stuff that day,
I
or
had
that
there was
day and a half, or whatever it is?
a ton of support, but I was kind of like pushing people not to like not be in my stream, but to make sure they were showing all the other guys that were streaming with me and
Oh,
going for the
okay.
cause
Because
because
you had a collection of guys stream at the time.
I think we had about 40, no, not 40.
Okay.
We had about 15 to 20 people streaming with us. And it was it's getting bigger every year. Like I think like, I've been doing it. This is the third year for it. I'll do it again in May, and I'm looking to add more people. Like I just want to keep adding people, and adding people, because then it's just gonna get big. And I get people from different genres of the games. Like I spread it out across Twitch. I'm trying to make this thing so big is like what like that we can get Twitch's attention, because we got the AFSP's attention in New York, and that's not easy. You know what I mean? Like you're getting that's the big office. Like that's the big organization. That's where the headquarters is at and everything. So like get their attention for doing something. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing to me is the and especially just like recently having these Twitch streamers um take their lives. We had a couple big ones. I think there was like five in 1 week. It was kind of
Wow.
weird time, and I'm just like this just makes it so much bigger to me. Like I started doing it because one of my friends took their life, and we grew up together. We close like at one point in time. I even dated his sister and everything. Like so, we were close, and it was just like I kept getting like these weird vibes. Like there was a Joyner Lucas song that came out. And it's called "I'm Sorry," and it was literally about I think it's about Joyner Lucas's cousin killing himself. And um, it was one of those things like it kept playing. I kept hearing it everywhere I go. Like I get in the car, it was on Sirius Radio. I had no clue what it was about. And then his brother had called me and told me that his mom had found him in the basement, and I'm just like, okay, I understand it now. I get why this is playing, and I kept hearing it. And from that day on, I went and I was like, I'm not gonna let his name go. I'm not gonna let it die. We're gonna do something every year in his name and keep pushing it out and make it bigger. And this thing has grown. Like I mean, like I said, the first time I did it, I think it was like 3 people. We've never not raised $1,000. So this year was the biggest one we had, which hit the 51K, 5,100. I wish it was 50, but
Yeah.
we hit for not being huge on the platform, like having 30,000 followers and 2 to 700 people in here, like Thrones, Como, stuff like that. Not having all that, it was pretty humbling that we were able to do it as a crew. Like I got the stream team and I put it together, and it's multiple communities. It has DCOT members in it. It has XH members in it. I think there might even be some ICG guys in it. I'm not positive anymore because it's starting to get big. Um, and it was cool to see everybody come together and just work together and really push themselves to their limits. We had guys stream for 24 hours with me. There was guys that streamed 16 hours. There was guys that streamed 12 hours. Like everybody really pushed themselves. Like they they were the guys were tired. They were fatigued. 'Cause it's not easy. I've been there, so I kind of know how to prepare myself for it. Like I drink a lot of water, eat a lot of fruit. I start training my body for the run. Like I'll start taking longer streams and pushing myself longer and longer and get ready for it and have my body ready to push on. Was my body prepared for 40? No, but charity does something to me when I get into it, and especially for stuff like I'm really big into, and I can't get it. Like I love it. Like it just puts a great thing out there. It shows what we are all capable of doing if we put our minds to it, and we show that we're not afraid to talk about it. And that's the biggest thing is when it comes to like suicide. A lot of people are afraid of it. There's stigma around it. Mental health has this like weird, horrible stigma around it that people don't want to talk. They're afraid to talk because people they are nowadays. They're quick to judge somebody. They're quick to make somebody feel really bad because they have issues going. And my goal was let's turn that let's turn that table. Let's give them somewhere positive where they can talk about their issues. Um, they can maybe we can give some insight. Maybe hey, try this or try that. It's or just give them that outlet to talk and let it loose. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people that get in those positions, they tend to hold it and they bury it, and it just eventually just keeps stacking and stacking until it breaks, and they either choose to get help or they take their life. And the goal is like as we do these streams, is to keep pushing out the positive note. Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. Keep pushing it. We're here. We're here. You got somebody you can talk to about this. Um, so that's just the big thing about it is give them that spot where they're safe and they just can open up, and if we could save somebody's life by doing it, like maybe give them a different direction after they see the stream and they're like, hey, this isn't bad. I can get help. I can do these things. They give them every avenue, and that's why I'm big on like having the number going. I give out the website. I give out so many different things of information why I'm doing it, and then I show statistics and I try to put it in perspective to somebody that may be watching that doesn't have issues. They're not suffering from mental health, and they want to get more involved with it because they see the numbers and how crazy the numbers are. The numbers are insane. How many people we lose a year to it, and like a lot of people don't see it, so they don't know. You know what I mean? They're like, well, why are you saying the numbers are so high? Like, and then you bring up the charts and you show them, and that's what I did during that. I bring up the charts and they're like, wow, and then you see it in chat, like people are like, whoa, the perspective like, that brings everything to light when you see it, and we get to the point in these streams sometimes, and there's people that are afraid to talk about things, and then you see them open up in the chat, and I make sure all my mods are on high alert for anything negative, and if they come in negative with it, we automatically they get timed out or they get banned. Like I said, it's a safe spot, and we had multiple people start opening up about what was going on in their lives and what was going on and what they're suffering from, and it's just an amazing, humbling experience when you know you made an impact in somebody's life like that, and you give them that little bit of hope and give them that little bit of a instead of them keep running the same circle, you kind of give them that little bend where they can come out of the circle and maybe, like I said, maybe get the help, or they just see the light and it just triggers something in them, and it motivates them to do better or attack what bothers them and not let it bother them anymore and become the person they're meant to be without all the stress and the heavy weight holding them down.
Yeah, brother. I mean that's definitely I mean, like I said, the 5100 is crazy, but also just providing those resources, especially like right now we are in a an online world, and especially with the COVID situation, it's more online than ever. I think mental health is in a lot of ways probably deteriorating in a lot of areas because of strictly being online, there's so many avenues where especially a young person can take a wrong turn and kind of get in some really weird spots online. And I think having avenues like this where someone can really be positive and kind of get built up, as far as, it's so easy in the online realm to be attacked and to attack people and to just really create a vicious area. So to have a place like this where we have, someone like you who's really take it upon themselves to create an environment of positivity and building someone up, and also to raise, money for that cause, and so much money. I mean, $1,000 is a ton, and the fact that you guys, you and your crew got up to 5,000 this year, just absolutely impressive. And just hats off to you for that, man. Hats off to you. I think that's awesome, everything that you're doing and have done so far.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not just me. Like I don't like to take credit for it at all, because, like I said, there was a special group, man. This year was a very very special group. Like, I mean, honestly, it gets me emotional, because to see people get my drive, like they understood what it was. You know what I mean? Not everybody comes in with that same attitude. Oh, I'm gonna stream for a couple hours, or I'm gonna stream for 2 hours and I'm gone, because they just want to feel part of something. This year, it was everybody knew. Like, they were like, this, like, it's me serious about this. This isn't like just any charity stream to him. This is something that he believes in. This is something, and they all took that on. Like, everybody that streamed this year took that whole thing on. Like, we even had people that streamed strictly the Facebook that were streaming and
Wow.
raising money, and it was it. That's that you could see the reaches happening. Like, you could see it growing, and there's people already like, they're like, "Smee, I want on the next one. I want in on the next one." Like, and that's the beauty of it, because that person probably was struggling with something, and that stream just opened them up to being able to, hey, look, I want to be part of this. I want to. This is something huge, and like I said, if it saves just one person's life, man, it's all worth it to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key right there. If it can save even just one person, because as you know, I mean, you explained your experience, and I've had my own experience with it as well, with, family, friends, and things of that nature, where someone, decides to take their life. It doesn't only just impact that person. There's so many people in their community, so many family, friends, and the community as a whole. It hits, man. It hits hard, and it takes a while to really that pain to go away, and it really never does. I mean, it's always with you. And so the fact that you're taking it and making, this huge push, and like you said, even if it prevents one person, that one person ends up being hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in the long run, as far as how it impacts,
Yeah.
everyone that they're around and involved with. So, man, super awesome. And now that you say it, definitely something that I would really love to be a part of in the future too, after hearing you talk about how passionate you are about it.
Man, I mean, like I said, it means so much to me. Like, I've been there myself. I've been on that brink, and it's a scary spot, man. Like, even though you have a wife, you have a mom that supports you. You know what I mean? You have that around you. When you get to that dark spot, you really sit there, and you don't. You're so dark that you don't think you have anybody around you. And when you're that dark, most of the time your family really can't help you. You need to go get real help, and you got to get somebody outside the situation that's not experiencing it and whatnot, because they get the outside perspective. You know what I mean? They get the outside look. They get you, the real you, instead of what everybody sees every day, because you start putting the mask on, start putting a smile on, acting like, hey, everything's good. You know what I mean? And it's really not. And
Yeah.
that's the scary part, is like that you can do that. And like, even now, it's like, when you think about it as a streamer, like, some of these people get really attached to you as they watch you. Like, some of these guys, like, they'll tell you, hey, you're my favorite streamer. Like, some of them might be bullshitting, but the genuine, you're my guy. Like, I love watching you, and they're here every day, and they spend time. And I look at it like that. You're affecting not just your family. You're not just affecting your kids. You're not affecting you're affecting your whole family, and then you're affecting people that don't even know you, but put so much time into you through streaming. So like, I take my life. I affect the guys that watch me. You know what I mean? And who says those guys? Those guys are looking at me as for a positive thing, and they look up to me because I'm one that will speak about it and one that will put out the effort to try to make it not as not have that stigma around it. So it's just one of those things. Like, think about it. It's crazy how many people it could affect if you do that. And I think that's what the big thing. A lot of that was for me is like when I was at that spot, I kind of started thinking, I'm like, look, my kids deserve to have their dad, and my kids were a big part of it. Like, because I could have done it. You know what I mean? Like my wife, like I always say, my wife was at work, kids are at school. My son goes to my mom's. There's nobody here. But then, like for some reason, my mind kept telling me is like, well, what happens if they come home first? You know what I mean? And they see me laying here. Like my mind would play those tricks. Like my mind would be like, do it. And then my mind would be like, well, you got kids. What happens if your kids come home to see you like this? What does that do to them the rest of their life? And like that's how my mind played, and that's how dark it got. Like you just like you would battle those things like that. And when I finally got to that spot where I just popped, I looked at my wife. I was like, "Look, you can't help me. My mom can't help me. My dad can't help me. I can't help myself. I need to go get professional help." And that's what I did. And it was the best move I ever made because it made me look at life better. And it made me look at what I'm capable of doing to help other people. And I think that's what gives me the relation to this so much is that I've been there. So people know I'm not bullshitting. You know what I mean? They know I'm real about this, and it's something big, close, and near to my heart. And it will continue to be that, and it's going to continue to get bigger because now I'm getting involved with the chapter near my house, and so now I'm going to have more information. I'm going to have more different. I'm going to have so much more coming into this, and like I said, my goal is just to make it huge, where it's like, which calls it day. You know what I mean? Like we're one. I don't even care if it's once a year. Like once a year on Twitch, this is what's going down.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like this is what's going down. Everybody's got a blue shirt on or something to do with the AFSP. Like that was the cool thing I got to do this year. AFSP was so cool. Like they couldn't do all the people because, like I said, we think we had a 15 to 20 people, which they would have jumped all over it if we weren't having the issue with the pandemic. And
Oh
they
yeah,
gave
yeah.
us because their budget was only so big, but they allowed me to give out 10 shirts. So
Wow, cool.
what I did is I gave 10 shirts to the first 10 people that jumped in on it, and I gave those guys streamed their asses off, and props to all of them. Like I said, I don't ever want to take full credit for it because it's not just me. Those guys have people in their communities that don't watch me that donated and put the effort in. Um, yeah, I did 40 hours, but that still doesn't neglect what those guys did. You know what I mean? Those guys did.
Yeah,
Those guys like I can't ask. Like I said, I couldn't ask for a better crew to run with me.
for
Never could
sure,
like
brother.
to have somebody want to go 24 hours straight and like some of these guys. They like I said, some of these guys don't. They have one viewer watching the whole time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and they're still going.
that's not a fucking easy feat when you're one person's watching you and you're running for
Yeah.
24 straight hours or 16 hours.
No.
Like
Yeah.
like to see them just buckle up and just eat it because of the charity and what it represented. Like it was like I said, it was probably the most amazing thing that I've witnessed in my life to see something like that. And like I said, these guys are from different community. Like they're not all they have different communities, but they're all like there's different games. There was guys that are in the COD community doing it, guys that are in like they do Pokemon or they're playing like RPG games or MMO games. Like they're not. It wasn't just strictly Madden. Like that's what was crazy about it. And they just like jumped on it and like they just ran with it. And I was just like when I was done, like I didn't even know how to thank everybody. You know what I mean? I'm just sitting here and I'm just baffled. Like I have one guy that he's done these with me every year. I've done them for 3 years with me. Felony One Gaming, and like this man, like if you guys don't follow him, you need to follow him. You need to check him out. This guy's been at it. I mean, he struggles at some of it some of the time, but he still continues to come back and fight for it. This is what he wants to do. And that guy, the 1 year fell asleep. Like he's pushed himself so hard that he fell asleep on stream during these. They literally just fall out, and we're like, "Well, where'd he go?" And we all go to his stream, and he's passed out. He's snoring on stream.
Crazy.
And this year, he was like, "Dude, look, I'm running." He was like, "I'm not falling asleep. We're getting this done. We're hitting goals." And he ran with me for 24 hours straight. And then we had a guy from I'm always gonna get this wrong, but I think he's from Finland. He jumped on it and ran for 24 hours. Like,
wow.
Like I said, like the way that it stretched out and the positivity that came out of it. Like you seen Finler. Finler was one guy. He's already jumped. He's already like, dude, when this goes off in May, I want in. You know what I mean? And to get that response from the community, like, and that's the worst thing I think about Twitch. There's no discoverability, and they don't see what is going on behind the doors. Like unless you're big, you know what I mean? And
exactly
when you have the guys like us, you know what I mean? Like your size, my size, Felony size, Schuler size. You got everybody in different sizes, growing at different times in different ways. But when you see it come together, and it just becomes this fucking force that can do what we did, and you hit 5,100, being that none of us hold over 100 viewers in our channels. None of us probably get to 50, 60, you know what I mean? And see that happen, like, come on, Twitch. You know what I mean? Like, look what you're missing. Like
you're missing out on something way greater.
Yeah,
than,
like we're doing big things. We're doing big numbers with like what we raised and how we're doing it and who we're bringing in. Like we had the guest speaker come on and all of that from New York. Like when you're doing that type of stuff, like there's got to be something like, hey, Twitch, like bring this to the forefront. You know what I mean? Like bring this type of stream to the forefront. Put it on your front page. You know what I mean? Let other streamers get to see what is going on. Like get this out there. And I think if we can get it to that point where we can get to the front page with this, is where you're gonna really see the impact that we can make and how many lives we can really save.
No, brother, you've said more than enough, man. I mean, it's just crazy to see your passion behind it. I mean, crazy in a good way. It's just like it makes you just want to get in and do something. I think you definitely saw that rally. But on that note, bro, my wife is calling,
you're good, bro.
and I gotta get the kids rolling on dinner. And I just want to say that yeah, before I get into one of those hot water situations that you had on Christmas, I want to say that thank you for having me on. It was such a fun time, and even more fun than just talking mad and stuff. I thought it was really cool our last half hour or whatever, just to hear your passion on everything and just to see like suicide prevention, everything you've done. I think it's really awesome. So more than appreciate being on the show, but just hearing that message was awesome, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I appreciate having you on here and you taking the time to even come on and take the time away from your family, your stream, and all that good stuff, because I know it takes away from all that. And
yeah,
appreciate it, man. Really do. Look forward to seeing your podcast, guys. We will have his stuff in the bottom. Almost forgot what I was saying, but we will have his links in the bottom to his channel, his Twitter, whatever else he has. We'll have it all in the description. This video will probably go live later, maybe Saturday. I'm not sure because I still have one I got to put up. I'm slacking this week, but we will be putting it up. So keep a lookout for it. We will also get it over to him. That way he can have the link and share it away. But appreciate you guys. And I think, Fendler's next, guys. That's who's next. Next Monday, on Monday. Monday night, 7 p.m. We have the Fendler. He will be on, guys. So we'll see you guys next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, if you go to manscaped.com, use code SME, get 20% off and free shipping. Yes, I said it right. Free shipping. But we're out, guys. Peace.